Greetings, it's Executive Ostrich here. To kick off my new series, we are going to be talking about a Webkinz theory that'll make your cat claws come out. The inspiration for this theory comes from Facebook user Mandy Sue, who posted the infamous Tabby Von Meow Facebook rant. The post reads, "That office lady? Yeah, I said it. She is mean, entitled, and nasty. Limits job opportunities, making my family and I very poor." The rant continues on, and the post sparked many strong opinions on our employment alley cat. Many Facebook users point to the lack of pay, cattiness, no pun intended, and lack of work benefits to be her main downfalls. With the evidence I'm about to present, I believe Tabby Von Meow's business practices range from unethical to downright illegal. Who is Tabby Von Meow? She manages the employment office in Webkinz and helps Webkinz get jobs. Essentially, you can complete a job every 8 hours. If you complete the job successfully, you'll earn kinzcash. You can get raises based on job performance and frequency. However, if you fail the job, you aren't awarded any kinzcash and you are unemployed for the next 8 hours. Before we get into the problems with Tabby's business, let's discuss what type of business she owns and how it works. Tabby's employment office is actually considered a temporary work agency. How does she make a profit? Well, she makes a profit by charging employers to find them employees. According to Cron.com, they may charge a flat fee or take a percentage of the employee's hourly salary. Technically, each temporary worker is an employee of the temporary agency. So let's say Tabby hires you to work at the curio shop. You're technically still an employee of Tabby. Tabby makes money by either charging Artie for staffing his gem mining team, or she can take a small portion from your kinzcash salary. Obviously, the first problem with her business is not paying employees when they fail the job. This is actually considered wage theft. Common forms of wage theft include lack of overtime pay, not paying for all hours worked, not paying the mandated minimum wage, and simply not paying a worker at all. When you fail a job, it's still considered working on the clock, and you should be paid as such. Failing a job in Webkinz is typically related to not finishing in time. This opens up the question of overtime and whether you are being provided adequate time to finish the job. You also have a job clock for when you can go for another job, so that most likely answers the overtime question. Wage theft is pretty much illegal anywhere for obvious reasons. I'm going to be using United States laws because 1, I live there, and 2, I can explain it better. First, there's the Fair Labor Standards Act. Basically, this law sets a federal minimum wage and allows states to set a higher minimum wage. Secondly, according to the Wikipedia page for wage theft may also involve violations of tax laws through the misclassification of employees as independent contractors. If you don't know what an independent contractor is, it's basically a self-employed person who provides a service via a contract. Employers do this to skimp out on benefits because independent contractors don't get the same benefits that employees do. This brings me to my next point. Tabby doesn't give any work benefits. I believe she classifies her workers as independent contractors to avoid paying benefits. Typical benefits for an employee include health insurance, paid sick leave, maternity leave, vacation, retirement benefits, and many more. This may be the reason we don't hear much about Tabby doing taxes. The only benefit that she is likely providing is health insurance. The Dr. Quack assistant job leads me to believe that Tabby may have a partnership with Dr. Quack. If she helps Dr. Quack find assistants, those pets receive health insurance under him. However, since Dr. Quack doesn't appear to be a dentist, dental insurance is likely not covered under said insurance plan. You may be saying, "Why are you taking this so seriously? It's a kid's game." To this I say, let's look at Club Penguin's labor system. Club Penguin is also a kid's game, however, there is a surprisingly realistic job system in the game. You have to have certain credentials to apply for one or both of the jobs, and you get a check in the mail, regardless if you succeed at the job. Last thing that makes Tabby's business unethical is having a monopsony. According to Investopedia, not to be confused with a monopoly, in a monopsony, a large buyer controls the market. Because of their unique position, monopsonies have a wealth of power. For example, being the primary or only supplier of jobs in an area, the monopsony has the power to set wages. In addition, they have bargaining power as they are able to negotiate prices and terms with their suppliers. How is Tabby's business considered a monopsony? Well, first let's look at all the businesses Tabby's employment office is associated with. She is associated with the following: the W Shop, Dr. Quack's Clinic, the Curio Shop, the Adoption Center, Kin's Post, Music Stars, the Mall from the Spree Game, and a home improvement company. She's the only employment office in Kinsville, and I think it's fair to say that she has a lot of deciding power with wages. This is why all the jobs seem to pay around the same amount depending on the level of difficulty. So why are monopsonies bad? Well, similar to a monopoly, a monopsony discourages competition, only in a monopsony it hurts other employers. A few businesses that are competition to Tabby's umbrella of businesses include the KinStyle Outlet, the KinStyle Shop, the Wish Factory, prior to merging with the Curio Shop and Webkinz Next, of course, the Travel Agency, and Daisy's Diner. In fact, in the Kinsville mayor election of 2014, Tabby seemed to be threatened by Daisy Doe and Mr. Moo's partnership, seemingly proving that Tabby is aware of her said monopsony. Speaking of that 2014 election, her main selling point was reducing the hours on the time clock from 8 to 4 hours. In turn, she claimed she'd have lower wages to account for this. It is interesting to point out that Tabby makes money by taking a percentage from your payout. By increasing the frequency of working, it costs the businesses associated with Tabby more money, not Tabby's employment office. Basically, she's admitting that she has the power to set wages, and in turn, she makes an even larger profit. Although there isn't a clear answer to the legality of monopsony, it seems to be deemed illegal if said monopsony is inhibiting competition. Basically, it hurts small businesses not enlisting her services because it forces prices to be lower, and it forces employers to have to be competitive with their salary. This makes it harder for these small businesses to hire people because they aren't able to afford higher wages and lower prices for goods. This also causes Tabby's level 3 wages to remain stagnant, not counting for Webkinz inflation. Now that I've provided evidence to suggest several of Tabby's business practices are unethical at best and illegal at worst, I thought it would be interesting to look into why she goes to such great lengths to make a profit. I'm going to be using the Enneagram Theory to explain her personality because I like how it gets into the subconscious rather than taking her personality traits at face value. If you haven't heard of Enneagrams, it's basically a personality typing system with numbers from 1 to 9. The typing system tends to focus on desires and fears. I believe Tabby is an unhealthy Enneagram 3. According to the Enneagram Institute, Type 3s have a basic desire to be valuable and successful, and have a basic fear of having no value to offer. Type 3s are typically the types to be role models and run for office. They want to have a purpose and want to be known as someone with a purpose. In her interview for the 2014 election, a quote that sticks out to me as a Type 3 is, "Well, Ella, I believe that voters really want someone who knows Kinsville, someone who's lived here a long time and has lots of experience running her own business." In this quote, she seems to toot her own horn that she is impactful in Kinsville and that she is successful with her employment office. Another quote that screams Type 3 to me is the following: "I'd also like to encourage voters to vote with their heads and not their hearts." Enneagram 3s aren't typically the emotion types and can often believe that their or others' feelings may get in the way of their success. There are some phrases such as financial freedom that may come off as Type 8-ish, but I feel like these are just blanket statements to win voter approval. Her intents seem to stem more from wanting to have a purpose rather than to avoid being controlled. Remember, 3s also learned how to cultivate and develop whatever about them is attractive or potentially impressive. This is commonly referred to as being a social chameleon. So if there are a lot of Webkinz who want financial freedom, she will socially morph into what the citizens want her to be. Some other traits that 3s tend to possess include being ambitious, a desire to be a role model, and being a workaholic. In my opinion, these are some of Tabby's defining traits. Some of Tabby's more unhealthy traits include gossiping, being condescending to her workers, and an unhealthy level of competitiveness. I think that these unhealthy traits come out in part because of her insecurities of not being valued. She doesn't take actions such as paying benefits to show that she values her workers, so this may be her projecting that insecurity onto them. Another example of Tabby projecting her insecurities onto others is in her election interview where she talks about Daisy in this quote. But to me, one new venture doesn't mean that Daisy is fully committed to working with the Kinsville community and not against it. She'll need a proven track record to convince me. This quote can be interpreted many ways, but to me, I see her being jealous of Daisy because she is new and getting more attention from Kinsville residents. Since Tabby so badly craves admiration, she doesn't like that Daisy is getting that attention. So what do you think? Is Tabby a corrupt businesswoman? Is the employment office a sham? Thank you so much for watching this theory, and I'll see you next time. Bye!